well, not hopefully, I'm pretty sure Hosana&Xongile are very close. Karula's tracks went further south of here. So we're going to try for the tots first, and then we'll go look for Mom afterwards. I'm trying to check carefully. Nice and hot today. I mean, it's 31 degrees Celsius. No, I think it was more than that, right? There you go. Well, it's hot, and I'm hoping they're going to be sleeping. 88, yes, it was 31. And so Hosana's tracks went through here. So there is a little pan here. Maybe he's gone to terrorize some terrapins. Hold on. Oh dear, off we go down the hill. Whee! I was hoping they might be high up in one of these trees, enjoying the very stiff breeze we have this afternoon. Now, Steph's great deluge is looking more and more probable as it goes on. Some of those winds are starting to get up to 120 kilometers an hour inside on the edge of the eye. And so I think it's actually now changed its classifications from a tropical storm to a hurricane. No, not a hurricane, a cyclone. We don't get hurricanes in the southern hemisphere. Now, I'm not 100% sure, maybe you guys can check for me. I think it's if winds are over 100 kilometers an hour, it becomes known as a cyclone. If winds don't get over 100 kilometers an hour, it is a tropical storm. I might be wrong. I'm trying to remember my high school geography, but that was a while ago. Oof. Long time ago. 16 years, 17 years now. So here's this little mud wallow, and we all know how both these little troublemakers love a good mud wallow to hang about, you know. It's like the local. There, what did I say? It's like the local. Both of them hanging out at the mud wallow. It's what kids do these days. Hello, Xongile. Hello, Hosana. Hanging at the local. Teenagers these days, Brian, you can't take them away from a watering hole. Of course, they're hogging all the shade. Sleepy kitties. Well, wouldn't it be nice if all our tracking exercises went like that? Walk around for 5 minutes, drive for 2, and find them. That must have been very small, because we followed her tracks and then found her coming back on top of her tracks to this area where she ditched the kids. Guys, why are you in a tree? You should be in a tree with this wind. Silly boy. What have you spotted? You bored? Let's try it.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Well, we've managed to find 2 little leopard cubs, and they're lying next to Waterhole. This is Safari Live. Ready?
Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Welcome to the Sunset Safari, and we've managed to find Hosana&Xongile, the royal cubs. My name is Brent Leo Smith, and I have my good friend Brian Joubert, and of course a lot of you will know that tropical cyclone Dineo is early. It's arrived on Brian's thumb, but we are expecting some intense weather over the next 4 or 5 days, and we're not sure whether it's actually going to hit us or not. Oh, Hosana. Hello, little fatty. Now, a big welcome to all our schools that are joining us today. It's great to have you with us. And of course, what a special treat to be able to have Hampton, Crosby and Newlyn schools with us. And isn't this a great way to start, guys? 2 leopards. So please send me in your questions. I'd love to hear from you. And you can see the young male is having a bit of fun. He's playing with the grass. He's bored. His sister is fast asleep, however. So they're just over a year old. Now, Nadia is wondering how I tracked the leopards. Well, Nadia, what happened is first I found their footprints from where I found them at about 11 o'clock this morning. And then when I went to where I left them, they weren't there. So I went, oh dear, I need to find these leopards. So I jumped off the car and I followed their footprints. And I followed their footprints for a while, and I saw their footprints were coming towards this area. And I thought, well, it's really hot today. It's 88 Fahrenheit, 88 degrees Fahrenheit, 31 degrees Celsius. And if I was a leopard and it was really hot, where would I go? And the answer to that, Nadia, is I would go to a waterhole. So I didn't walk all the way. I stopped probably about 150 meters from here. I went back, got Brian, we drove around, and we found the leopards sleeping next to the waterhole. So a lot of tracking, Nadia, is actually a lot of thinking like an animal. So you don't actually have to follow each footprint, but you sort of say, if I was a leopard, where would I go? It's the best way, I find. Now, these guys are just over a year old. This is the female closest to us. She is much smaller than her brother already, even though they're the same age. And male leopards do get much bigger than the females. They get to about 200 pounds when they're fully grown, whereas a female is normally around 100 pounds. So a male leopard can be double the size of the female. And he's already, at just over a year, bigger than his mom. Oh, sorry, my head wandered into shot there. Oh, kitties. See, he's just playing with the grass. He's a bit bored. So their mother will leave them in a place like this where there's water, shade, and good trees to climb to get away from predators. And while they do that, she goes off to try get them dinner. Now, Dax says, what do they eat and when was the last time they ate? They ate last night, Dax, and they eat antelope, which are a little bit similar to deer, and they eat small to medium-sized antelope, impala, even up to a kudu, but normally steenbok, duiker. So they eat meat. They are 100% carnivores. They don't like their vegetables. Look at him playing just like a kitty. Now, Emily is wondering, how can we get so close to the cubs? Emily, I've known these cubs since the day they were born. I found them when they were about this big, and if you drive carefully and considerately and you spend a lot of time with them and you don't show any aggression or chase them around with the cars, you can see you can get very, very close. It's called habituation. So these animals are habituated to the car, so they don't see people in the car, they don't see us as a threat, and that's why we're able to get so close to them. Hey Songololo. Now, we are going to sit here and see if these leopards get up to anything or if their mom comes back. But it is a very special day today for another animal that lives out here in Africa. And my good friend James is going to tell you all about it.
Hello everybody from Hampton, Crosby and Newland schools. My name is James and those are Hippo. And you know what? It's International Hippo Day today. That's exciting, isn't it? So if you were a hippo, you'd have your very own day. David is on camera. My name is James Henry, and you can ask us any questions you like during the course of this drive. We're going to sit here with these very special hippos, and, well, we're going to appreciate the fact that they live here in the water, and I know that many people have hippo as their favorite animal. Especially many of our younger viewers like hippos. Those ones are now hiding from us. They're very good at hiding under the water, and there are probably about 30 or so of them there in this water, but they're all over the place and lots of them hiding from the very hot African sun. And you can also see the wind is blowing very, very hard. And I don't know if Brent told you, but we're expecting some very heavy weather. And I don't think these hippos are too happy about that. And so they're like, oh, look, they're playing around on that side. Naturally, they've gone under the water before we can show them to you. Now the others are playing. Hey, there we go. And they're just having fun because, you know, being a hippo is quite boring. All they do all day long is lie in the water. And then at night they come out and they eat a bit. And then they just go back into the water. And there they sit all day long, not thinking about much. And so when it comes to this time of the day, the young bulls like that, those are young bulls, they get very cross and bored, and so they start to play. And I don't know if you know, when you guys are on the playground and you get a bit bored, well, you probably start to do the same sort of thing, push each other around and have a bit of a wrestling game. Hannah, you want to know how much they weigh? Hannah, they weigh about 2,500 kilograms for a very big bull. So those little chaps there probably weigh about 1,500 kilograms, 1,500 kilograms. And if we convert that to pounds, you multiply it by 2.2 and you get to roughly, say, 3,500 pounds for those hippos. But a big bull will weigh about 6,000 pounds. And there's a very, very small one in this water somewhere. I'm trying to see if I can't see it. Now, Sophia, what you will hear or read is that a hippopotamus can hold its breath for around about 8 minutes if it has to. I have never seen a hippopotamus hold its breath for anything like that long. The longest I've seen them stay underwater is normally 1 to 1.5 minutes. So I think you'll find that normally they're under the water for about 30 seconds, and they come up again, and then they go down again. And I'll tell you what I want everybody in the class to do. We're going to keep the camera over there. Now, the next time that hippo, there, it's up. Now, hold your breath, hold your breath. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, that's a different one, 17, 18, 19, 20, there it is, 20 seconds. All right, so you'll read books that tell you it's 1 minute or 8 minutes, but no, it's not very much. Justin, you want to know how hippos swim so well? Justin, hippos are dreadful swimmers. They can't swim at all. what they do is they're actually standing on the bottom there, and they can't swim because they're too heavy. They don't float. So when you get into a pool, you float, and that allows you to move at great speed for some people, or if you're like me, very slowly across the water's surface, because we float. Hippos don't float. They sink down to the bottom, and so they're always in water that they can stand in if they're resting. Otherwise, what they do is they run along the bottom of the water, and they jump up, and then they breathe. You know how if you go into a pool and you sink to the bottom, if you let all the air out of your lungs and then you push yourself up to the top again, well, that's what a hippo is doing all the time, except it's more normally underneath the water. Valentine, I don't really know the answer to this. You say, how come hippos have their very own day? I don't know, but you know what? There are funny very own days for all sorts of things. There's probably Stamp Collection Day. There's probably an International Ant Day, International Termite Day. There's probably International Pine Tree Day. There'll be all sorts of funny days that there are around the place, but today is International Hippo Day. So we thought, because we're on safari, we'll celebrate International Hippo Day. Now, we're not going to spend all day here because, well, we'd get as bored as those hippos. So let's see what else they have here. Oh, we've got some waterbuck down over there that David has spotted. Jana, while we look at those, I will try and tell you why it is that hippos got their name. Well, it's quite an interesting one, that, and I've actually got quite a lot of information on it. Hippopotamus. Hippo actually doesn't mean hippo, it means horse, believe it or not. And potamus, I think, means... Oh, let me just check quickly. Let me just make sure that I'm not talking nonsense to you. I will find out for you in just a little while we enjoy the hippopotamus. Here we go. It's derived from ancient Greek, and hippo does mean horse, I was correct about that, and potamus means river. So it was river horse. Hippopotamus, river horse. Now, it doesn't look like a horse, does it? But anyway, that's how it got its name. And you know what they call it out here in the language of Xitsonga or Shangaan? They call it mfubu. Mfubu. That's quite a nice word to say. Mfubu. So say that in your class, but don't spit all over your friends when you say it. Mfubu. And that is hippopotamus, the river horse. Right, Brent is with the leopards. We're going to be with the hippos. We're probably going to move from here fairly shortly, and then we might come back a little bit later. But there's somebody else out as well, and that's Jamie, and she is walking.
Indeed walking, and a very good afternoon to all of you on this gusty afternoon. My name is Jamie, as James told you, and this afternoon VM is the man holding the bushwalk camera as well as the enormous backpack that is sitting on his back, which allows us to take you on a walk with us. And what you're seeing is happening right here and right now in South Africa. For those of you that have just joined us, a very warm welcome to our schools for this afternoon. We're very, very excited. We hope you are all excited, and hopefully we have some special surprises for you up our sleeves. We're going to try something new today and see if it works, but I'm not ready to try it just yet. So I'm not going to tell you what it is. We're going to see if we can get it to work first, and then hopefully it's going to give you a whole new perspective on the world in which we are. So when we're out on foot, one of the reasons that we're out on foot is because it is a really good way of spotting some of the smaller things. Of course, it's always exciting to see animals. I think I've got an idea, sorry. To see animals out on foot. And that's always a fantastic way to experience that. But really what makes walking so special is that you're so much more aware of the bush around you, the smell, the wind. Here it comes, the wind. and being right up close, the feel of nature, the totally experience the wilderness around you, and that's what makes bushwalking so special. Now today we're going to be quite careful about where we're walking because it is so windy. We're going to make sure that we try and essentially avoid all of the different big animals out here, and the reason behind that is it is such a windy day that it tends to make animals, especially things like elephants, very, very nervous. And we don't want to make them feel afraid, and we don't want to put ourselves in danger. So we're going to be staying in the nice open areas where we can see around us and not bump into anything big and scary and scare ourselves at the same time. So somewhere where it's nice and open. This wind is the beginnings of a very, very big storm that's on its way. And it's blowing us around. Look at that. And we're also not going to go too far from home because I'm a bit nervous. Even though it doesn't look like it's going to rain now, I'm a bit nervous that it is going to start raining before the end of the afternoon. So we're going to stick around and stay close at home. Now, I'm sure you're all very excited to see more of the big animals out here. Let's go back to Brent with his leopards.
Well, we're still with the leopards. I said we're not going to move. They've both just popped their head up. I wonder if there's not an antelope wandering around behind us. I can't see anything. But they might have heard something. You must remember their hearing is infinitely better than ours. And their eyes are specifically designed to pick up movement. Now, Barb is wondering, why do leopards have spots? It's for camouflage, Barb. So it helps break up their outline so they can get closer to the animals they want to kill and eat. Now, at the moment they're lying quite out in the open, but if Brian zooms out from the beautiful Xongile, you see as you go wider and wider they become harder and harder to see. Just look how those spots have worked on Hosana. You can barely see him there. I definitely can hear or see something. And you never know what's around the next corner. I mean, there could be an elephant walking close by to us. There could be a hyena. There could be a squirrel. That's the one thing about being on a live safari. We can't predict what's going to happen. Oh, yep, Xongile has seen something. Something has got her interested. Brian, can you see anything from where you are in that behind us? You see anything there, Brian? Not at the moment. There's something that's caught their attention. Now Skylar is wondering, why are the leopards breathing so fast? It's because they've got meat in their tummies, Skylar, and they can't sweat like us. So how they cool down is to breathe very quickly. So they push the air over their tongue and the blood vessels in their tongue and in their mouth, and that cools the blood, and then they pump it through to the rest of the body. So basically it's like their air conditioner. The faster they breathe, the cooler they can get. Now, leopards normally hunt at night or in the early morning or late afternoon, but leopards are opportunists. So if an animal happened to wander up to them, even when it's really hot like this, they would take the chance at being able to catch one. What did you hear, Shongo? Angel's wondering, what kind of adaptations have leopards developed? Well, we've discussed one of their adaptations, which is those incredibly beautiful spots all over their body. Another one of their adaptations is the ability to climb trees and to take meat into trees so the lions and hyenas can't steal it from them. So that's a special adaptation. Well, whatever it was, she is now not as interested, and she's decided to lie down again. So there we go. And that is also quite a particular adaptation to leopards. They're the only big cat in Africa that will take their kill up into a tree so other animals can't get to it. So her name is Xongile. And you might hear me call her Xongololo, that's just a nickname. But Xongile means extremely or exquisitely beautiful. And that she is. She is definitely one of my favorite leopards in the whole world, and I've seen lots of leopards. I've been doing this for over 15 years, and I grew up in the bush as well. Now, Nick is wondering, do leopards fight with anyone? Well, Nick, it depends on your definition of fighting. The animal they fight the most with is themselves. So leopards will have territories and they'll fight other leopards to keep their territories. These guys are still too young and they're living inside their mom's territory. But sometimes a big male leopard, which young Hosana, that means the little chief, that's him there, will be in a couple of years, will fight with a single hyena. But if there's more than one hyena, he'll run away. But it is unusual. Most of the time, leopards will try avoid confrontation with other predators. So lions and wild dogs pose a big threat to them, and will kill them if they can catch them. Now, you can see that even though her eyes are closed, her ears are always moving, and she's listening not only for potential meals but also potential dangers like lions or hyenas. Jordan would like to know, is the leopard a predator, and where does he fall on the list? Well, he is most certainly a predator, or leopards are predators, and they are one of the apex predators, so they're quite high up the list. But lions are the number one apex predator, then hyenas, then probably wild dog, then leopard, then cheetah. Now, it all depends on when you judge it as a one-on-one thing, or if it's one-on-one, they will probably be second. Zania would like to know, what season do they have babies? Leopards, like most predators, are able to give birth any time of the year. So there is no specific season for a leopard to have babies. Lauren would like to know, how does a leopard know when someone's coming? Well, they'll use all their different senses, sometimes smell, sometimes hearing, and then lastly eyesight. But I'd say hearing and eyesight are the two most important. Skylar's wondering, how far away can they smell their food from? Well, they probably get whiffs of their food at all the time, especially on a windy day like today, Skylar. But they generally use their eyesight to catch their food. So sometimes they will sniff around if there's an area where a steenbok's been sleeping and that, but they have to spot their prey before they'll start to stalk their prey. Now, we're going to see what happens next. As I say, you never know what happened next. They could get up, they could move, an impala could come closer. But while we wait patiently, let's go see why Jamie is playing in the grass.
I'm playing in the grass because I wanted to pick this particular plant for you to show you the different ways that the various plants disperse their seeds. So this particular plant we call blackjacks, and for all of us when we grew up in South Africa, this was a memory that we all have of picking blackjack seeds out of our school socks, because they'd always grow around our school sports fields and around the swimming pools and all sorts of things, and they stick. Now, how am I going to show you this, because this one's actually not quite ripe. Do you see these? Sorry, let me show you this first. You see these tiny little hairs sticking out there? Now you can imagine how sticky that is, or perhaps you can't imagine, you'll just have to take my word for it. Those are very, very, very sticky, and what they do is they cling onto an animal's fur. I don't really want to do this, but my pants are not. So what they'll do There you go, see? It's come away with 3 less. What they do is attach themselves to the animal's fur, like it's attached itself to my hair. That's going to be a pain to get out. And then eventually it will drop out. Now, Joe, you want to know what kind of... Just getting the seeds out of my hair. What kind of habitat we are in. Joe, we're in a place, in a sort of a habitat called a savanna environment. So what that means, essentially, and it makes up quite a lot of South Africa, the savanna environment, or the savanna biome, or habitat. What that means is that it's a kind of a balance between a grass layer, so we've got a very, very healthy grass layer, and at the same time woodland as well, so the trees that grow around it. And it's quite nice and evenly spaced. Now at the moment we're on the crest of a hill, and that means that there's different types of grasses, different types of trees, but we get sort of almost different types of habitats within habitats. So we might get this nice open spot over here on the crest of a hill or on the top of a hill. If we were to go down to where Brent is very close to a dried up river system, and that's actually essentially a different type of habitat. It has different trees, different grasses, different types of soil, and often you'll find that different animals occur there. So if I were walking around here, I sort of know, okay, yes, I could definitely see a lion or a leopard or an elephant, but there's certain types of antelope that I probably won't see, like a bushbuck, because bushbuck don't like these nice open habitats with this sort of grassland. They don't enjoy that at all. They would rather be where Brent is and where those leopards are, which is where there's nice thick vegetation around them. Now, Maya, you want to know what I could see on foot. Maya, I could see an elephant. I could see any of the animals because I'm exactly the same place that James and Brent are. So I could see any of the big animals. But because I'm on foot, it also means that I can get right up close to the various creatures around here. Let me see if I can find you one. Sometimes they stay very well hidden. Oh, I thought I found a chameleon, but it's just a really chameleon-shaped leaf. So I could see reptiles, I could see snakes, I could see spiders, termites, ants, scorpions, all sorts of different things. That's why I love going on bushwalk, because it means that I get to see all of the little insects and the various bugs that we get out here as well. And it's a really great way to learn. Now I'm going to see if I can find you something, because they're all in hiding. It seems as though the wind has been gusting everything away, and we're just on our way to making our way towards a different area where I know there's some fun termite mounds for you. Very good question from Sophia. Oh, here's more of it. Now Sophia wants to know, what's the purpose of this blackjack seed sticking to animals' fur? Well, the reason is, if these seeds just dropped off here and another plant started to grow, because this is the plant seed, if another plant started to grow right here, then all of a sudden you'd have too many plants in exactly the same spot. So what all plants have learned to do is to create various ways of dispersing their seeds. I'm just looking to see if I can find you some bush willow seeds maybe, but they don't seem to have any seeds now. So by sticking to the animal's fur, it can be taken to a different place where it could start to grow. And then that way the plant spreads all over the place rather than just being in one place. And that's different types of plants will distribute themselves in different ways. So, for example, let me try and find you another one. This type of grass, this panicum grass, will get eaten and then defecated out. And once it's defecated out, then it will be able to grow in things like, I don't know, elephant dung or something like that. It's actually really, really nice to eat for humans as well. Tastes like oats or muesli. Sorry, Rebecca, please can you repeat that question? I was distracted by what I was doing. Now, Briania, you want to know how tall that grass can grow. We haven't had too much rain out here, which means that our grasses are still quite short. Can't hear if that's... Oh, it's a bird. Just making sure that there's not, that Herbie isn't whistling to me. Herbie's the man who comes with us on walks and helps us find things. So there's some grass in different areas around this reserve. We haven't had too much rain, so the grass has stayed short, but there's some grass that gets up to here on me, and I'm 5'7". So that's how tall it will grow. It goes very, very tall in our rainy season. In winter, it all dies away, most of it dies away, and the living parts of the grass will be underneath the soil. And that's because winter is our dry season, so the plants don't get any water to grow, and so they need to retreat and wait for the rain to come once again. So that's how tall the grass will get. Let's see if we can find some more seeds. Now, Grant and Nadia, while we creep through the thick vegetation over here, you want to know if it's safe on foot and what animals would we not like to meet. Well, it's important to remember that none of the animals are out to get us, so there's nothing that's going to deliberately attack me. It's only if it was scared, if we got too close. So I've walked all of the animals that there are on this reserve, and I've been absolutely fine every time. But we do have a gentleman with us who's hidden somewhere in the trees. I don't know where he's gone. He walks ahead because obviously I'm listening to your questions through here, through an earpiece, which means I can't hear out of my right ear all that well, and I'm busy talking to the camera, so obviously I've got my back half the time to where I'm walking. So that what Herbie does, or Herbert does, is he walks ahead and he helps me look for things, and he also just makes sure that I'm not about to walk into a buffalo or something. In terms of the most dangerous animals, buffalo, hippopotamus, as long as if they are outside of the water. If you walk into a hippopotamus, that can be quite dangerous, and elephants as well. But you can do it safely. There are safe ways to walk up to something like an elephant. You don't need to worry too much about that. We've been doing this for years and years, so we know how to walk about in the bush. Now, Deanna, you want to know what will happen to the animals during the storm. Deanna, some of them will die. Not all of them. Most of them will be safe and sound. They'll just have to shelter and dodge the various blowing of trees and climb up into some of the bigger, thicker trees to stay safe from the water. But that's essentially what will happen with them. But some will die. Some will drown. Unfortunately, it is just the way of things out here. It's also very, very difficult for people in Mozambique, which is the country that is on our boundary, on South Africa's boundary, because they're getting hit with the worst of the storm. So it could be that a lot of people actually really struggle and lose their homes. So as grateful as we will be for a little bit of rain, unfortunately this definitely isn't the way that we wanted to get it. There's another type of seed that has a different dispersal method. This is called red top grass, and these are its seeds. So there you go. That doesn't stick to clothes or to fur. That blows in the wind. They're very, very light. There you go. There goes one. They're very light seeds. So rather than trying to stick to an animal's fur, they blow away. Now, Genevieve and Angel, you want to know what types of insects and flowers we get here. There's too many for me to name. We get lots and lots and lots of different types of insects. Termites, ants, dung beetles, chafer beetles, wood borer beetles, lots of different types of beetles, flies, dragonflies, damselflies, butterflies, moths, lots and lots of insects, and the same goes for flowers. We probably get at least 30 different species of flower around here. Unfortunately, no flowers here because there hasn't been any rain, so we haven't had all that much in the way of flowers. But too many different types of insects for me to count. Alright, let us see if we can. I don't think we're going to be able to creep through here. It's going to get too thick. Yeah, we're in the middle of what's known as a silver clusterleaf woodland. Now, a silver clusterleaf woodland is made up of all of these beautiful silver trees that you see in front of you. And these beautiful silver cluster leaves always grow on what's known as a seep line. So where there's water draining through the soil and moving up through the soil quite close to the surface. And it's definitely not a tree that animals like to eat, which is why in places like this you get to see so many of them. Even elephants don't really like to eat them unless it's absolutely necessary. And let's see if we can creep through here. Since there's not much hiding around here. Here we go. Something's been lying here, chewing on marula fruit, and that's a different way that a plant disperses its seeds, and it does that by being eaten, because the fruits are delicious for the animals to eat, so they eat them and then they move them from where they fell out of the tree. So that's a different way in which a type of seed disperses. We're going to carry on with our walk, but since it is such a lovely hippopotamus themed day, let's go back to James at Chitwa Dam.
Hello kids, we're still here with the hippopotami, the river horses, and you can see a beautiful view there of what is a very big weather system coming in off the coast of Mozambique. Look at that cloud. And I hope you all take the time every so often to look up at the sky and appreciate how beautiful the clouds are. It really is quite special. Now David, who is on camera, spotted something quite special over to the right-hand side. And many of you, of course, will know a bird very similar to this. And it is, of course, the American bald eagle. And there he is. That is not an American bald eagle. It is an African fish eagle, but it's a very similar bird. And I think that they've got a nest in that tree, and that's why it's so hidden. Normally they sit out in the open. Now Jordan, you ask a very good question as to how hippos find the water. Well, David, is that a fish eagle? I think it is. Let's just perhaps zoom out and pretend that it was. I'm pretty sure it's a fish eagle. Jordan? Yes, it is. I can see it is. Jordan, what happens with hippos? You say, how do they find water? I think there's some memory involved, but I think some of the time also they can smell it. They can smell water, and so they probably have, and I don't think we understand this fully, they can smell water, so they'll move towards where they can smell it. I think also they're quite clever, and so they can see where the rivers are. And it's not difficult. If you were walking around in this area and you knew kind of about living in the wilderness, you'd be able to find water, or you'd be able to find where water did flow by going down the slopes always. And I think that's probably how hippos find new water. But also remember that there's an element of memory. So sometimes they will move between waterholes. When one waterhole dries up, they'll have to move to another waterhole. And so there's an element of memory involved where they just remember where all the water is. And Maya, you say, do frogs live in South Africa? Yes, they do. We've got lovely frogs here. I'm just going to try and tell you how many frogs we have here. We have got, I'll tell you right now, we have got 161 species of frogs in South Africa, and in this area probably about 45 different kinds of frogs. And at the moment, you know what I've got back in my camp, which unfortunately I won't be able to show you, is a tank full of tadpoles that we found, and we're trying to find out which frogs they're going to be. And we've got about 3 or 4 different species, and when they've grown up into frogs we will release them. So we love frogs out here. Do you like frogs? Justin, you're obviously a very fine naturalist. You say, do hippos have blubber? Yes, they do have blubber. Now, Justin, do you know why hippos have blubber? Hippos, much like whales, have blubber, of course, to keep them warm. Because if you live in the water, it doesn't matter how warm the water is, you're eventually going to get cold. So while this water is probably, I'd say it's at least sort of 73 degrees, 75 degrees or so Fahrenheit, it's going to be eventually cold, especially in winter time when the hippos still spend time in the water. It can get very cold, and so they do have a thick layer of fat or blubber that keeps them warm. Sophia, I'm not sure who's told you this, but you say, why don't other animals like some animals in their territories? Well, it just depends on the animal, really. I want you to imagine that you live at home, right? You've probably got a home with maybe a little garden or yard, as you like to call them over there. Can you imagine if everybody in the street just came into your yard when they wanted to and wandered into your kitchen and helped themselves to milk and orange juice and cookies from your fridge? You wouldn't be very happy with that, would you? And it's the same kind of thing with animals out here. So the hippos that live in this pod, which is a group of hippos, well, this is their territory, and they don't like it when strangers come into their territory and eat the grass that they like to eat and lie in the water that they like to eat in. I mean, imagine you came home and if you're lucky enough to have a pool, you find 4 or 5 strangers having a swim in your pool. Well, you'd think that was very unfair, wouldn't you? And that's why animals are territorial. And Ronan, you obviously ask a very good question there. You say, does anything eat hippos? Yes, they do, but not often. Out here, these hippos are probably pretty much safe. A very small hippo could possibly be eaten by a lion, by a big pride of lions, but because the others are so big, they will protect the smaller ones from the lions, and maybe by a big clan of what we call spotted hyenas. They are quite dominant predators out here. It's unlikely that will happen here, though. In some places, though, especially during droughts, when the hippos get weak and they have to move between the water, then lions do take them. But as long as there's this much water in here, you won't find any lions taking out the hippos. Justin, you want to know if hippos have the biggest teeth in South Africa. Well, they've got very big teeth, but not the biggest. The biggest teeth in South Africa belong to my friend John, who comes from Johannesburg. No, that's not true. The biggest teeth in South Africa belong to elephants, Justin. Elephants' tusks are in fact teeth. And so they are much bigger than hippos' teeth. Although hippo teeth are pretty big, they're probably about, some hippos probably have teeth about 10 to 12 inches long. Now, Vanessa, you want to know how many hippos there are in this pod. I think it's very difficult to tell. I think there are about 30, but they're spread all out over the dam. And they're not always up. Some are up and then others are down, and then some are up and then others are down. So are you counting them? It's almost impossible. There might be, I'd say, between 20 and 30 hippos in this waterhole. And you say, what is a group of hippos called? It's called a raft or a pod. You'll find that people who work in biology normally use the term pod, but sometimes we use the term raft as well. It's a really very beautiful scene that we're looking at here. Now, Mariana, you want to know how much hippos eat in a day. Now, interestingly, something like a rhinoceros, for example, which is about the same size as these guys, they eat probably about, if I remember correctly, about 45 kilograms of food every single day. Now, that is about 100 pounds or so. A hippo eats much less than that. I've read as little as half of that, so say 20 kilograms of food, but I don't believe that it's quite that little. You'll probably find that they eat about 30 kilograms of food, and they eat so much less because they don't do anything all day. You know how you don't get hungry if you just sit around doing nothing, but after you've been playing in the playground or at school all day, you get home, you're really hungry because you've been busy. And so rhino are a lot more busy because they don't live in the water like these guys do, and hippos, because they do so little, they don't eat nearly as much as something like a rhino does. So that's a really good question there. Right, we've been with these hippos for a while now. We're going to move on, see if we can't maybe find some cheetah at Cheetah Plains off to the east. We're going to head underneath that cloud because we're feeling very brave today. Let's head back across to those snoozing little leopards.
Well, heads up, at least, and little Hosana breathing very heavily. He obviously had a good meal last night. And quite often you can see how often leopards move. You can see all the grass behind them and around like that that's been flattened. So leopards will lie till they get the ground underneath them hot, and then they'll flop over, and then they'll flop over again. Now, Paolo would like to know, are leopards allergic to anything? Paolo, not that I know of, and if they are, they probably die very quickly out here. It's always possible for an animal to have an allergy, but generally those animals don't survive in the wild. Nature takes care of them. Well, Dina, following on from Paolo's question, is do we take care of animals if they are hurt or they're sick? We do not, Dina. This is a wild system, so it's not for human beings to interfere here. Nature keeps the balance. So if an animal like this wonderful little cub is killed by a lion or hurt by a lion, we don't interfere at all. The only time we'll interfere is if whatever's happened to them is caused by human beings. But that doesn't happen very often here. It's very wild out here. Look at him playing with the grass. You're having the best time, little boy. It's so hot, but you still want to play. What has he got there? A stick? Is it a stick or is it a turtle? You never know with him. He is the terror of turtles. He likes to catch them and play with them, and sometimes eat them. Did you see what that was, Brian?
No.
Not sure what he's got there. Mischief. Full of mischief, little leopards. Might be get a chance to see what he's got. Could just be. Is that a dwarf mongoose? Let me just move the car a little bit. I think he actually might have caught a mongoose today. Yeah, I think it's a dwarf mongoose. Let's just see if we can see a bit closer. What you got there, boy? It's definitely meat of some kind. I think he's caught a dwarf mongoose. Does that look like a dwarf mongoose? I see fur. So as you can see, even though Mom's not here, they will hunt for themselves little things like dwarf mongoose and squirrels and birds. I think it's a dwarf mongoose. Quite difficult to see. Well done, Hosana. Or did your sister catch it and you steal it? So, it is time for us to say goodbye to Hampton, Crosby and Newland schools. I hope you guys have enjoyed your live African safari. It's been splendid, and we hope we'll see you on safari very soon.
And welcome back to our live safari. We're on this International Hippo Day. Since you all contributed your drawings of the hippopotamus so kindly to all of us, I have attempted to do the same, but unfortunately it is not working at all. So thank you to all of you for joining us through that school session. Now, of course, you can send through your questions on #SafariLive on Twitter, or email through to questions@wildearth.tv. No wonder it looks so weird. Bim? Polar bear. Well, Herbie's added the grass that it's eating. It doesn't look. It doesn't really look like a hippo, does it? It's been a bit disastrous. It's eating grass. There it looks a little bit like a rhino. That definitely looks like a rhino. And my back legs didn't even meet the back of the bottom. So really, all in all, this has been a disastrous job. I'm just going to leave it for somebody to come across You imagine what the trackers must do when they see stuff like this on the ground. What a laugh they must have. So I have attempted to do my drawing of a hippo. It's hideous. It is absolutely horrendous. My only comforting thought is that it is not as bad as James's. It's not far off though. But please do, if you are feeling as though you might have a slightly more artistic bent than myself, please send through your drawings of your hippopotami. Please do. I've seen some lovely ones already, so I'm looking forward to seeing one or two more. I try to draw a hippo yawning, but it's really difficult to do from the front. I try to do a nice open-faced, mouthed hippo with the tusk sticking out, but it definitely didn't work. So I'm going to go and retire from my artistic career, carry on with my walking guiding career, and send you, for now, back to the leopards. Let's see if we can find out what Hosana has.
Well, speaking of art, Hosana seems to have managed to get the art of catching dwarf mongoose. We're pretty sure that's what he's caught. So you probably find the mongoose were around here when they moved up from the Mwati riverbed to come have a drink. And difficult to say whether he or Xongile caught it. He probably caught it himself, or he could have stolen it. Greedy guts. There we go. We can see the mongoose now. So for sensitive viewers, just remember this is live from Africa, and sometimes we do see some things that can be a little bit disturbing. So just a quick warning. But the cats need to eat. Now, Randall's wondering, at what age do leopards make their first major kill? Well, Randall, it depends on what one would consider a major kill. If it's a dwarf mongoose, probably maybe even as young as 4 or 5 months. If it's an impala, probably just over a year. Oh, shame, it is a little dwarf mongoose. I saw his nose there. That's the thing I think a lot of us don't realize about leopards, is that during the day they will be constantly catching things, dwarf mongoose, that they come across monitor lizards. So they don't only eat big impala and stuff like that, they're constantly taking any chance to get a free meal that comes along. Now Matthew's wondering, how big is their territory? Again, Matthew, it all depends on the area. And for example, female leopards in this area have a territory of around 1,200 hectares, which is just under 5,000 acres. Males probably closer to 12,000 acres, or even a bit more in this area. But if you move onto areas where there's large river systems like the Sand or Sabi River, females' territories can be as small as 1,000 acres as opposed to 5,000, and males as small as 2,000 acres. So it all just depends on where you are and the amount of potential prey species that are around. I can't imagine a dwarf mongoose tastes too nice. They do most of their scent marking and whatnot with an anal gland, and it is quite smelly, and it looks like he's already eaten that half. But meat is meat, and Hosana must eat. Remember, hashtag Safari Live, or questions at WildEarth.tv. There's little Xongile or Xongile, looking quite regal and compared to her brother, who is munching away at the mongoose. Cheryl would like to know if I could tell which bird is calling near the leopard cubs. Well, Cheryl, I'm afraid you're going to have to be a little bit more specific. If it's the chit, that is a woodlands kingfisher. If it's the cock, it's a yellow-billed hornbill. And if it's a pss, 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 it's a rattling testicular. If it's a tee, it's a blue waxbill. Those are the birds I can hear at the moment. Oh, and an emerald spotted wood dove. Doo, 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 doo. And I'm sure if the wind wasn't blowing so stiffly, we could probably hear a few more species as well. Now you'd think how we've seen him eat on other carcasses, he would just wolf that down. He seems to be savouring it. Eating it very slowly. I think it's more of a play thing. Oh, is it all going down? One foul swoop? No, he's still playing with it. Take Care would like to know, do they digest the fur? Take Care, that's one of the few things they are unable to digest. So fur is keratin, same as our hair or our fingernails, and they will either cough it up in a fur ball, or they will pass it out the other end. So they are unable to digest fur, claws, hooves, horns, and some of the bigger bones. Now Rachel's wondering, do the leopards eat insects between big meals? They can, if they are very hungry. I've seen them eat grasshoppers. They do like flying ants when they're out, the high protein alates of termites. So they do eat insects, but it's not that common. What are you doing, mister? He's not really eating it, he's sort of just crunching it up and playing with it. Although now it seems like he might eat a bit more. Looking very impressed with himself. We're gonna sit here. I've just heard they've found Karula probably about 400 meters from here. She's also sleeping, so I think we'll stay with the cubs for now. If Karula gets moving, we might go join them. But while we do that, let's see if James has any luck with our other spotted cat, the cheetah, on Cheetah Plains.
The bum. It's going to be extremely difficult for me to explain to you what I was trying to say there and what was going through my mind, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Hello, everybody. I am James. In case you have just joined us, you can get hold of us. #SafariLive, questions at WildEarth.tv. You can send us your comments and your questions, and you indeed are encouraged to do so as much as possible over the course of the next little while. We are on our way to Cheetah Plains, as Brent said, but we are not there yet. We're about to arrive. We're on Chitwa at the moment, and we were hoping maybe to get a sort of look at Thandi, the leopard, and her cub, whose name is Bigglesworth. No, it's not, no worry. That was a suggestion from one of the viewers watching the show the other day, the TV show, and they suggested Bigglesworth was quite a nice name. And there's no ways on earth that the leopard will ever be called Bigglesworth, but I think it's quite a good name. But it won't be called that. I don't think I can move from here, Rebecca. I think you're going to lose us. My phone seems to be talking to me for some reason. That is very odd. All right. Sorry. What did she say? I think we're going to stay here. Right, we're going to go to Jamie. I will see you on the plains of Cheetah very shortly.
Right, we are trying to figure something out, and that is what we were talking about. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to prepare it properly, but we're going to keep trying, and forgive us if this doesn't work terribly well. But Herbie, VM, and myself have all united with VM's endoscopic camera that we're now sticking down a termite mound to see what we can see. And I'm just utilizing VM's flashlight. No, go that way. I need a stick or something to try and get it. It keeps wanting to curve off to the side there, and that's not where I want it. I want to get it right into the hole. So we're trying out VM's endoscopic camera so we can look right down into various cracks and things within termite mounds, within logs, and all sorts of things in between. Unfortunately, we were just trying to get it all sorted from our side. Just hold on a moment. How do we do this? Foresee being bitten by a termite or two. So this is a really, really lovely idea that VM actually had to try and enhance the whole bushwalk experience. Oh, this termite mound is so hot. Hello, termites. How are we looking there, VM? You getting anything vaguely? You can see a termite. Well, they're attacking it from my angle. Yeah, okay, shall I keep my shade, my hat over the phone screen? I can't see what you're looking at. Can you see something there? We're just experimenting for now. I can't move. Oh. They're all gathering around it. They're trying to have a look at what it is. Let me try and do this with the phone.
Increase the brightness.
Can I increase the brightness? Ah. Matthew, you want to know how many termites are in a colony? Thousands and thousands, Matthew. So there are lots of termites in a colony. I can't see anything. There's lots of them, mostly workers, quite a few soldiers, and then of course the queen at the center of all of it. Sorry, I'm still trying to figure this out. While I try and figure out how to make this work and focus on our termites, let's go back to Brent's sleepy leopards in the shade.
There we go. They're still sleeping here. Not much movement. As I said, Mom's not too far away. And she probably left them here and decided, I need a break from the kids. And went and slept. And she's probably going to head out hunting as it gets a bit cooler. So I will keep my ears open to the other game drives to see if she does get moving. But for the moment, young Hosana has swallowed what is left of that little dwarf mongoose. I think it could be in the grass. Now, Alyssa is wondering, at what age do leopards become independent of their mothers? Well, little boys, they tend to stay a bit longer, till about 18 months, 20, even up to 22, 23 months. Oh, he's up. You're only looking for more dwarf mongoose? And females generally become independent a little bit younger, around 16 to 18 months. Let's see if he's going to have a drink, if we can get into a good spot. Or is he going to go play in the mud? This is, of course, young Hosana we're talking about. What are you doing? Now, Stefan is wondering, do leopards have their young at a similar time of the year like the lions? Well, lions and leopards can give birth at any time of the year, with lions being social animals. The females tend to have their estrus cycles quite close to each other, therefore they can have cubs at the same time, and that's because they practice allo suckling, and so they communally raise the young. With a leopard, which is a solitary predator, it is completely random. I mean, if you look at the ages of the cubs around at the moment, you've got shadows that are about 6 weeks, we've got this lot that are just over a year, we've got Vitomi, who's nearly 17 months, and we've got Tundi's cub, who's about, I think he's about 6 or 7 months. So as you can see, various different ages throughout, and it all just depends on their mother's estrus cycles. What are you doing in the sun, silly? No, I gotta sit in the sun as well. He does have a goofy look on his face. David's wondering where the leopards are going to go with these big incoming storms that are predicted. David, they'll probably stay on the ground. They're not going to go up into the trees, especially if we're expecting winds that are over 100 kilometers an hour. And Xongile is moving as well. So they're more than likely going to stay on the ground somewhere, probably not exactly like this, but any sort of thicket where there's not too many big branches to fall down. Here we go. At least he's having a drink now. Thirsty boy after eating the dwarf mongoose, probably trying to get the anal gland taste out of his mouth. Oh, Aubrey's just calling me on the Game Drive radio. Standing by. Over. Where's Xongile? I just caught a glimpse of her behind her brother somewhere. Oh, here comes Xongile. What is she up to? Was she thinking about stalking her brother? Or was she just looking for some shade? No, I don't think she's interested in chasing her brother. I think she's just moving spots. And, well, we wait to see if they get moving. Jamie has managed to figure out how to look inside a termite mound.
Is so incredibly cool. The secret life of termites as seen while they're inside their termite mound on hot days like today, because of course they only come out at night or when it is cool and cloudy and rainy, which is not going to be too far away. But for now, because the sun is beating down, all of the termites have retreated inside of their termite mound chimney, and we've managed to get our endoscope camera, or at least VM's endoscope camera, all the way down. I would guess it's probably down about at least 3 feet into this termite mound, probably a little bit more actually. It's right down, and it's so intriguing to watch what these termites are doing. Isn't that extraordinary? You can see the massive soldiers and the workers. They don't appear to be doing anything. That's what's intriguing me. They don't appear to be actively working or actually doing all that much. There's a massive soldier pushing everybody out of the way. You could actually just imagine the voices of them, especially those massive soldiers. Hey, coming through. Move out of my way. And then the slightly smaller ones marching around. I'm intrigued at how little they are actually working. I always assumed that underneath the surface of the termite mound, or inside of a termite mound, there was a constant flurry of activity. They're walking up and down, but they don't appear to be actively carrying anything, digging at anything. Every now and again, one of them bumps into the camera. That's that little shake that you see. That's a termite mound hitting the endoscopic camera. Oh, this is going to be so much fun, Viam. We're going to learn so much, especially when we learn to control and get it down, right down into the depths of the termite mound. This is so cool. Valid point from David. First thing I thought about, is there a danger of there being a snake in there? David, yes, there is. Unlikely, though, in an active termite mound, because you've seen the way in which our termites respond to us, and even to the endoscopic camera, which they initially bit when it was moving, And now that they can't, because obviously it doesn't smell like anything really, now that they can't see it anymore, it's not bothering them. They haven't been attacking it at all. They're just ignoring it, except for that one that apparently just bumped into it. So a snake would find itself being bitten to shreds if it were to climb inside an active termite mound. An inactive termite mound, on the other hand, is a dangerous place to stick your hand in, or even one where the termites might still be active in other parts of the mound, but they're not in that particular chimney at the moment. And yes, then you will definitely run the risk of finding things like cobras, because of course it's warm. It's a nice warm sheltered spot, so especially on cold days it is a useful place to be if you're a cold-blooded reptile, or if you're an ectotherm, which is actually the official terminology. It's so interesting, and it's so warm. It is radiating heat in that termite mound. Now, Espen, you want to know if all of these termites are the same type that we're seeing. Let me try and point out to you on VM's screen without using my dirty fingers. There's soldiers, that's a worker over there. These two are workers, the slightly pale color. These two are soldiers over here. These are all workers wandering up and down along here, and then every now and again you see a massive soldier termite. One or two of them have come wandering through earlier on. Don't see any now. Oh, one of them's knocking the camera a lot now. What you doing? Leave our camera alone. We're using it to spy on you. Now, I think the fact that the endoscope is just sort of dangled in, sorry, nearly mixed up the viewer's name and the word dangle. James Dungan, you want to know how they would react if the endoscope started to damage the termite mound itself. James, I think they would probably actually start to attack the cable. That's what I think would happen, is they did bite it earlier when we started to feed it through. Obviously they just saw this foreign body entering their termite mound, or felt the vibrations of it, and they rushed to the defense of the termite mound. I think if it were to start damaging, if there was a situation where it could start damaging the termite mound itself, they would start attacking it, and they'd probably start swarming out as well and biting VM and myself. This is utterly intriguing, watching them go about their day-to-day business. I'm also just keeping a very close eye, sorry to distract us from our termite mound musings, very close eye on the bank of clouds. There it is, everybody. The beginning of the cyclone on its way towards us, or the for us it's not going to be a full force cyclone. Oh, it's an interesting question. We were just talking about that earlier. Rachel wants to know if the storm that is coming, is it going to drown the termites? Rachel, yes, some of them will, I would guess, some of them will drown. I think what they're going to do is they're actually going to block up the entrances to their termite mound completely and retire into the deeper chambers underneath the surface of the soil. And this is basically waterproof, this hardened termite mound outside structure. So that's not going, well, a little bit could wash away, but it's not all going to wash away. And it's protected, the inside of the termite mound underneath the surface of the ground is protected in that way as well. But yes, I think some of them will drown. Hopefully most of them will block it up. Christopher, you want to know, while we watch our workers and our soldiers wandering back and forth seemingly aimlessly, whether or not they will spend their whole lives in their termite mound, or if they move from mound to mound. They spend their whole lives in their termite mounds, except for the alates of a termite colony. Now, the alates are the winged reproductive members. We've had a few termite mound explosions recently of the winged alates coming out. They are the only ones that will ever really leave the termite mound. They'll go and search for mate, and they will form their own termite colony. Relatively unlikely though. Now, I have very, very exciting news for you. Something that makes me quite sad because I missed out on seeing them today. But James has found you a very special surprise.
The other magnificent spotted cat of Africa, the cheetah. Achyonyx ubatus, looking for his brother. Yes. Hello. Now, the story of these two is quite interesting because, of course, if you were watching this morning, I'm sure Tristan would have told you most about them, or most that we know about them. A coalition of two brothers who were seen coming through here, sort of once a month, I guess, at the time. And then, I think they were separated by lions, and they seem to have split apart. We've seen both brothers. This is the other brother now, different from the one that we were seeing about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they just keep missing each other, but I think they're looking for each other. Very heavy marking of territory that they're doing, and perhaps trying to signal at each other. And I think they were separated in the night, of course, and that makes it very difficult for them because they are not really nocturnal animals. Quite a stiff breeze blowing now. Well, Jake, what a wonderful opportunity this is to answer your question. You say, what is the difference, or what are the differences between leopards and cheetahs? Jake, the differences can be seen quite nicely now. This animal is much taller than a leopard, probably about 25% taller at the shoulder. It is also got a tiny head in comparison, so its jaws aren't nearly as powerful as the leopard's. Its teeth are much smaller, and it is over-specialized for speed. All it can do, and I say all it can do, but its primary sort of modus operandi is to be able to run extremely fast. A leopard is the ultimate generalist. The cheetah is the ultimate specialist. They need space, and they need to be able to catch small to medium-sized antelope. That's almost entirely the bulk of their diets. And then, superficially, you can see, of course, that the spots are different. The spots on this cheetah are, they're spots, really. They're not rosettes like you would have on a leopard. I'm just going to move around him here. Go. We'll get a nice view of him coming towards us now with any luck. Isn't he great? I think these leopards, I think these cheetahs are just too fantastic. Now, Octo, you ask a very good question. You say, will there ever be a time when the cheetah brothers will stop looking for each other? Yeah, I imagine there will, but because they will occupy the same territory, it's highly unlikely that they're ever going to sort of not look for each other within the territory. So they are eventually, if they're both alive, which I think they probably are, it's highly unlikely that they won't eventually come across each other, because while they might stop actively looking for each other if things become really desperate, they are in the same area, and so they are bound to come across each other eventually. This is marvelous. I do so enjoy spending time with these cats, mainly of course because they spend a lot of the day actually active. They don't have to wait for the night. We might get quite a nice picture of this cheetah coming through the drainage line now. We'll stop up here. Let's stop here, Darby. Coming down that road there, I think. And we can just ease forward. Yeah, here she comes, or he comes. And you can see, I don't know if you were watching this morning, but there was much less wind. But this animal is very kind of nervous, and I think it's being made nervous by the wind. Tom, you say, do cheetah contact call? Absolutely they do, but they don't have a mechanism to make a very loud noise. So they sound sort of like birds chirping, if you know what I mean. They go chirp, chirp. In fact, I haven't heard one calling for so long. That's probably totally inaccurate. But yes, they do contact call. Here we go. He thought I was... Rebecca reckons he's running now because he thought I was contact calling him. That's not why he's running, Rebecca. It would be ridiculous. He's a very fine fellow, isn't he? But I think... Ooh, just looking at his mouth, I think he's just eaten, you know. You see a bit of blood there, Dave? Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, he's eaten something today. Now, Marie, you say, does the upcoming storm, the predicted deluge, the great harbingers of water have sort of told us is coming this way? Will it affect the big animals at all? Can they see it coming? We don't know that for sure. It's not going to affect them hugely though, because I think it will be a flash storm. It might be 2 days of very heavy rain, after which it will clear out. Here he comes. We'll just move into a nice spot here. Now ZX3, you're saying, do I think that the cheetah population will recover? It depends. Recover from what, ZX3? Do I think it's going to get bigger? I think it's pretty much what it's going to be in this area, ZX3, and I think that's because there are too many other predators. So I think there are simply too many other predators for the cheetah numbers to get too much bigger than they are right here now. And you see how he keeps looking behind him? And isn't that a lovely shot of him going through the grass there? I think that's just beautiful. That is really stunning. So, I mean, they are endangered, and in some places they are just simply going to do better than they are here, because there are lots of lions and leopards and spotted hyenas around this area, and that makes it very difficult for a cheetah. They like to avoid being around other big cats, and especially other predators. Right, that is just gorgeous, isn't it lovely? Wowee. And it gives you an idea of the strength of the wind now. You can see that grass blowing. He probably ate something small. I wonder, you know, I said small and medium-sized antelope. I reckon they probably eat quite a lot in the way of... Oh, there we go. James Richard, you saying Coral reported that he ate a young impala soon after drive ended this morning. So thank you for that, James. I guess that's why he's got blood on his chops. I think he is heading towards this water, so it might be worth us going along there. What do you say, David? Nick, well, yes and no. You say, will the wind help the cheetahs smell each other? If they're standing downwind of each other, then yes. It's a very strong southeaster. It will remain a strong southeaster. So, I mean, if there's a cheetah to the north of this one when it marks, then yes, it will smell it. Will he smell one further southeast? Yes. But if he is not going to pick up his brother standing, unless he's standing directly in line with the water. Or some geese leaping into the water here. Sorry, just a bit bumpy while we... Oh, look at this. Look at this picture. Look at that gorgeous rainbow. Hey, everyone. That is too stunning. That is just gorgeous. It is just stunning. Oh, and the birds flying over the top. We don't often get beauty like this. And there go the geese through the picture. Oh, that's just wonderful. And they keep coming back. They're going to land in the water, I think. There they go. Ah, wow. Hey? That is just stunning. Here he is. Now he's going to have a little bit of a lie down. Why shouldn't he? Poor fellow. He's had a bit of a tough time, I think, of late. Lost his brother. I think he'll probably lie here for a little while and then continue his move south. Now this is very exciting because I don't know what on earth a lion looks like anymore, and Brent is about to show you.
What a wonderful surprise! We've got two beautiful lionesses of the Nkahuma pride that have appeared out of nowhere. We're just down the road from where the leopards were, and we've got this lovely lady lying right next to us. It looks to be the youngest female of the Nkahumas. I haven't had a good look at the other one yet. They're definitely not Styx lions, far too pretty. But isn't this exciting? Lions, leopards, cheetahs in a drive? I do say, Brian, is this a big cat safari? It is definitely a big cat safari. Well, let's see if we can have a look at the other one. See if we can figure out who it is. So it's probably more than likely amber eyes, just from the fact that the three mothers would probably still be with the cubs. It's not impossible that they've been separated. They could have been separated while hunting. Now, I know the rest of the Nkahuma pride crossed into Manyeleti last night, and Aubrey followed their tracks. Before that, they were in Buffelshoek. Does that look like Madam Amber? I think it is Amber. Hello, Amber. I forgot what you look like. It's been so long. Remember #Safari Live or questions at wildearth.tv if you want to ask us any questions. They have appeared out of nowhere. Last I heard, there were two tracks, tracks of them probably 10 kilometers away from us early this morning. Now, that means they've walked through the day today. Of course, it hasn't been the hottest day. We've had those showers, but both these lions are looking incredibly hungry. Now, I don't think, well, you might be able to hear some snorting in the background from Impala. I don't actually think the Impala can see the lions. I think the wind is blowing from where the lions are towards the Impala, and they're snorting out of safety. And the Impala on the other side of the water. We're at Twin Dams at the moment. Now we've got lots of decisions to make. There's that. Oops, there's another Mafazi up ahead. So there are the, where are those? There are the Impalalas, snorting out of safety. That's quite pretty with that backlighting, Brian, and a little green twig flickering about. You can see the gusting wind in the grasses there. And there is a massive cloud bank coming from behind us. I know you've seen it with James. Those must be some absolutely gorgeous visuals. Oh, it looks like Amber's risen slightly. Having a little cleaning session. So it's Amber and the youngest Nkuhuma lioness that's here. Toxigenic says now we just need to see a serval and a caracal and our cat card will be complete. Oh, Toxigenic, you forgot one. The African wildcat. Then the cat card would be complete. Standing by. And of course, recently we had an interesting experience where we actually saw a feral domestic cat on the Kruger boundary. But we're not going to count that one. Just come straight to Twin Dams on the eastern side. Two. FM, you'll be the third. Sorry about that. Someone's trying to come look at the gorgeous ladies of the Nkuhuma Pride. Now, the other option is they might be in an estrus cycle again, and they might have been off cavorting with the Birmingham boys, and that's why they're not with the rest of the Pride. Now, the rest of the Pride, what have you spotted? Now, here's the impala. You see, I think they were just snorting because they smelt the lions. Now, I know everyone is wondering and worried about what the animals will do during the storm. You probably find it's not their first storm, and they've been out in the bad weather before in their lives. So they will do what most of the animals do. They will hunker down. And you know what? Lions, leopards, hyenas, and some of the other predators might even take advantage of the chaos caused by the storm to catch the poor impalas and zebras that's hearing is going to be compromised. Of course, in the height of the storm, if the winds do get upward of 120 kilometers an hour, they will probably find a nice bush to lie under. Sorry, Orbs just asked me about the crocodile. Ifamba, Goripan, Boffelzoek Dam, and then I think it's Kayamanzi, must be. So I think that's the only place where there's still catfish. So Aubrey was asking me about Boris the Blade, the crocodile that we tracked through the bush on foot the other day and we found hiding under a bush. He's moved off, and he's crossed our northern boundary into Buffelshoek, and I think there's one large waterhole there that's still got some catfish that'll keep a Boris sated so he can stop chomping on poor terrapins and leave the terrapin chomping to Votomi and Hosana. There's probably no terrapins left for poor Hosana. Boris the Blade's eaten them all. Greedy guts. So I think these lions are so hungry that we're going to sit here. We'll decide whether we're going to go back to the leopards or stay with the lions. But while we do that, Jamie is looking into the eye of the storm.
I think I would have to have very, very good eyesight to look right towards the eye of the storm. But we do have a truly beautiful view across the open area. Looking across Djuma, across to where James is on Cheetah Plains, right at the end of that rainbow, and the steady bank of clouds that is coming in from the east. I can't quite work out if it's because of all of the internet articles and the various wind maps I've been watching and the satellite pictures. I can't work out if the eerie feeling that I'm feeling is because I know something's coming, or if there is an instinctive, I don't quite know how to explain it, an instinctive recognition of the danger that a storm like this would pose. Do you know what I mean? I could sort of try and explain it. I don't know. We know that animals are famous, of course, for knowing about storms and earthquakes and tidal waves ahead of time. And I think that we generally have lost our perceptive abilities in terms of our sense of hearing and smell and so on. But I do think that we are able to pick up in changes in pressure. And of course, wind always makes human beings uncomfortable, because that's instinctively what we would have been when we were living wild out here. But it really is, there's an eerie feeling, and this cloud is huge, this bank of clouds. And there's places where there is just a wall of water, like over towards the northeastern corner of Torchwood. I don't know whether or not you can actually see it or it comes across, but over the northeastern corner of Torchwood there is just a wall of rain that extends all the way over what must be the western edge of Kruger, I think. And as for that rainbow, it's beautiful, but it looks a lot like there's rain pouring down from it. That is utterly beautiful. Right, we just found an antlion. Shame. Let me try and put him down. Here's an antlion, a gorgeous antlion, but he's still very much alive. So I'm going to pop him over there. There we go. There we go. Isn't that utterly gorgeous? Sorry, I had to dodge the jaws for a second because he was about to bite me. But that is an absolutely, truly beautiful antlion. That's one of the most beautiful giant antlions I've seen. That is the adult form of those tiny little conical pits that we see in the ground. Gorgeous. Sorry, buddy. That's okay. Alright, we're going to keep staring at the rainbow and actually, to be honest, make our way a little bit closer to camp. While we do, let's go and have a look from one view of a sky to another.
That, everybody, is the ominousness that Jamie was talking of, but it's staying far to the east, so I'm not too worried about it yet, and nor is Gerald the cheetah. Don't worry, that's not his name. I just thought I'd, get Twitter all aflutter that I'd named a cheetah Gerald after we'd named, of course, a leopard Bigglesworth. It might actually be time to name these cheetahs at some stage, so we'll probably have to have a talk about that, because we do like to name all our characters. And, what was that, Rebecca? Charlemagne. You want to call this cheetah Charlemagne, do you? Right, okay, well, Rebecca's suggestion for naming this cheetah is Charlemagne. Of course, the great French emperor, Charlemagne, who was operating when about, was he? He must have been round about, 1100s? Maybe 1200s? 1100s. I'm not sure why you'd want to call him Charlemagne, though. I'm not sure that that's a good cheetah name. Charles, perhaps, better. Charles the cheetah. Charles the cheetah and his brother Andrew. Look at that sky. Well, Chaz and Charles, the cheetahs of Cheetah Plains. Chase and Chad, the cheetah. Rebecca says, Chase and Chad, cheetah brothers for life. Except they're not doing very well at being cheetah brothers for life at the moment. He's much more relaxed than he was, and I'll tell you why I think that is. I think it's because he's lying in a totally open area now. So you can see he's given himself a little bit of vantage by lying up on the top of the bank of this waterhole, I suppose you call it. And that just lets him see over the tops of the grass. And what's interesting here, everybody, if we just pan around the clearing here, if you don't mind, Davey, you can see there that it is much greener than it is at Djuma. Now, we're not far from Djuma. We're probably, as the crow flies, about 7 miles or so really not very far. This is how isolated the rain is in this area. I'd say this has received probably twice the rain that Quarantine Clearings has, and look at the length of the grass. Now, I'm afraid I've forgotten the name of the person who sent through a question, so I'm sorry about that, but it will come back to me. Holly, there we go. Holly, you want to know about these cheetah and whether or not they greet in the same way that leopards do. They do, but it's not quite as affectionate. It's interesting. I noticed it the last time I saw the two brothers together, Holly. What they do is there is a greeting. There's a kind of head rubbing that goes on, but there isn't that mutual grooming, that licking that goes on, even between male lions that you see, and they don't kind of flop onto each other like male lions do or like a lion pride does. They then lie apart from each other. They move with each other all the time, they lie close by, but they don't lie on each other the way lions do, or the way those two little leopard cubs have been doing. And I don't really know why that should be the case, but they're not quite as affectionate. They are, of course, a totally different genus, and while they are defined as part of the big cats, of course they are cats and they are big, and therefore they are big cats, they are not closely related to leopards or lions. And you can see that because of that, they have slightly different behaviors. They don't behave in the same way that the Panthera cats behave. And I've always thought, all their adaptations, remarkable as they are for speed and for being able to maintain speed and use the muscles and the oxygen that they have to. For me, and I know this is a kind of random, it's not random at all, but it's possibly for many the least impressive adaptation they have. That ability to lie with their heads cocked to the side and relax and sleep, I think is remarkable. I don't know of another animal that's able to do that. And as I've said to you before, you just give it a try. You lie down on your side and try and cock your head up so that it's 90 degrees to your shoulders, and see how comfortable or how long you can maintain that for. It won't be longer than 2 minutes, I promise. And it's because they have to be able to see what's going on around them. That's why he's chosen to lie where he has. He can look over the tops of the grass, and they are so threatened. And apparently this chap was set upon by some baboons this morning, and although he wouldn't have struggled to outrun them, or anything else out here for that matter, he would like to see them coming. He needs a bit of early warning. Can't climb a tree in the same way that a leopard can, certainly not to a point of safety. Anything that he can climb, anything that would chase him, would be able to climb much better. Right, we're going to go from one flat cat under the rainbow to another flat cat under the watchful gaze of Brent Leo Smith.
Well, a very flat cat, even though they are quite hungry. I think they might get moving quite early this evening, but it is your game drive after all. So let me know, would you like to go back to the leopards, or would you like to stay with the two Nkahuma ladies? And you can do that by sending me an email to questions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Now, it's been quite a while. So I saw the Nkuhumas very briefly on the boundary when all the lionesses were there, but they dashed into Simbambili quite quickly, and then they came back and dashed straight through Djuma back into Buffelshoek, and then they've been up in the north. So I wonder, it looks like she might have been mating. Brian was saying he could see some scuff marks around her neck. Well, it could be from mating. Could also just be from ticks. Sean is wondering, are the lionesses' ear tops bald like the leopards? They can become bald like the leopards, Sean. If you notice, the young cubs, they do not have bald ear tops. It is from biting flies, a fly species called the stable fly that attacks their ears profusely. So that is why the ears become bald and a bit scraggly. Now, of course, if you had to have a competition for the champion napper, it would be the lion, average about 20 hours a day. Let's just try. Sorry, Brian, let me move around a little bit. Vanessa would like to know, do all big cats hunt better in cooler temperatures? Indeed they do. Their body is able to cope better, and so I wouldn't say they hunt better, they hunt more frequently. There's shorter downtime while they cool down, while it's cold. And all the big cats hunt better in stormy, windy weather. So if it's raining and storming, it really takes away a lot of the advantages that some of the prey species might have to defend themselves against the prey, against the predators. So it's always better in stormy, windy weather. How's that? There we go. Now, I think it's still too hot. I think we want to be with them. What is the time now, Brian? 5:45. Oh, we want to be with them probably about 6:30, as it really cools down a bit, to see if they get up and on the move. A bit of action might be around those little leopards. So I am still waiting to hear, but Brian and I think we vote leopard, then back to lion. That's our call, but we will wait for you to decide. Remember, if you want to tell us, would you like to go back to the leopards or stay with the lions, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or pop. Oh, there we go. You have decided you want to go to the leopards, so we're going to go back to the leopards, guys, and we will try and get back to these lions at about 6:30, 6:45. That's when they're likely to get moving. They are really, really hungry. But while we do that, let's go back to Jamie, who's still playing with grass.
I'm definitely not playing with grass. I'm striding through grass to make sure that we're a little bit closer to home. Brent seems quite confident that this rain isn't going to hit us before the end of the sunset safari. I'm not so sure. Look, most of it's blowing off to the north, and it actually hasn't come that much closer to us. But now here on the open area of quarantine, it feels a lot more on top of us than it did earlier. So we haven't even had time to really stop and find anything to show you. We've just been marching through the grasses to try and get ourselves a little bit closer to home, just in case the wind does turn. And of course, that's the unpredictable thing about weather like this, is the weather could change direction at any moment. That's solid walls of rain in front of us. And of course I've just seen a few forks of lightning as well, which is an added risk. So we're just lurking close to home. We of course don't have a set of wheels, so if the heavens do open on us, we would have to run back home, and I don't feel like doing that on this hot, humid afternoon. I don't feel like a casual jog through the bush, and if I don't feel like a casual jog through the bush, well, I can tell you that Wiem, with his 15-kilogram backpack, most definitely does not feel like a jog through the bush. So we've made sure that we avoid it by coming right into the middle of quarantine, so that if it is coming, we'll be able to jump out of the way as quickly as possible. Whew. Grass is still long here, not green, but still long. And then of course all of these little baby silver cluster leaf bushes, all growing up around here. And that to me is not necessarily just seep line indication, that's encroachment. Now, the balance of the clearings of quarantine has been upset in some way, whether through a lot of excessive grazing or perhaps feeding off the trees. Now, Naomi, you want to know how, did I hear that right? Spear grass grows, or just other grasses? It is spear grass, okay. You want to know how spear grass grows. It grows, I would love to show you, and this is just the wrong place for spear grass. It grows basically upwards essentially all of the threads of the speargrass seeds are initially wound together really tightly in a kind of a spiral that ends in a very sharp point. So does that make sense? They're kind of wound like this, but so tightly that you actually can barely see. You can't really differentiate one part of the seed to the other. And then what happens when that seed starts to get to the point where it's ripe and it's ready for distribution? Let me just try and show you. It's black, by the way, the speargrass seeds, or the speargrass wings of the dispersal. So what happens is, when this, it doesn't quite look like this, but just imagine that this is in a point at the end. But when it is ripe, it starts to unravel, and it kind of comes out in these filament hair type mechanisms, very much like, what is the word I'm looking for this grass? Oh, the tassel 3-horn grass. This sort of grass, it spreads out like that, and it catches in the animal's fur. On their legs and so on. But if you get it, speargrass is great fun. If you get it at the right time, before it's got to that splitting, it unravels, almost like it was sprung in some way. But once you get it before it's unraveled, you can actually spend many an amusing hour, depending on who you are. My entertainment usually runs out at about 3 minutes in, but you can throw it at people and it sticks in their clothing. It's great fun. I have known people, without mentioning any names, I have known people to be amused by it for at least an hour at a time. I generally find that my entertainment is slightly shorter lived with something like that. But you never know what might keep different people entertained. Double rainbow. It's not even a single rainbow anymore. It's a double rainbow. Still blowing straight past us, you know. Going straight north. I almost feel snubbed. It's exactly what's happened with all of the storms. Okay, so it's hit James. It's hit James. It is a wall of water. I think it's coming. I think it's still coming. The whole of last year, the rain would build and then blow off to the north of us and not land upon us. You all are wondering, if we did have to do a mad sprint through the bush, which of us would carry what equipment? It depends how fast we'd have to do it. I mean, I'd be more than willing to offer Vildi a bit of help with carrying the pack if we had a long way to run. But probably what would happen is I would have the camera wrapped in a black bag, and we'd have the cover over the walking pack, and we'd be on the radio to one of the other ladies or gentlemen in DRC, which is our main camp, to say, please come and bring a vehicle and come and rescue us, rather than making us run home in the rain. But if we had to run, I would probably take the camera, wrap it in a black bag, and Herbie would be sprinting with his rifle and his backpack on. Now, I've heard that it's raining upon James. He is very, very brave staying where he is, right on the eastern side, but he does have a good reason to, because he's still with that cheetah.
Look at this picture, everybody. There is a bit of rain coming out of the sky. There's a rainbow, there's a cheetah, there's just gorgeousness everywhere I look. David is just going to wipe the lens on account of the rain. I've put my camera away, put my binoculars away. I've donned this utterly ridiculous and entirely pointless poncho for the sake of it. I mean, whoever designed this should be dragged out into the street and mauled. Hang on, I can't drive. Right, here we go. David finds the state of this poncho very amusing for some reason. I think there's a brief squall. I don't think it's the eye of the cyclone pulling up over the top of us. There's still lots of very beautiful sun, and it's all coming from there, and it looks pretty clear above us. So I think we'll be fine. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous sight. We've been sat here with this cheetah, the most stunning rainbow, and the sky changing to, dare I say it, 50 shades of grey. In an infinitely more appealing manner than E.L. James managed. See, David, the cyclone has passed us by. It's the fourth cyclone we've had today. Oh, and just look at that rainbow. Just too magnificent, hey? Rachel, you say it's absolutely stunning. Well, I'm not sure that there's a better way to describe it. I'll tell you what, why don't you all try? Hashtag Safari Live. You can give us 2 words this time. You may use, like Rachel did, absolutely stunning if you'd like. Well, you can't do that. That's already been taken by Rachel. But you can give us any other 2 words to describe the scene that we have here. A cheetah, a cyclone on the move in, a giant rainbow, which was a double rainbow. Oh, it's still a double rainbow if we look off to the left there. And some golden softening afternoon light here. Now I'm going to attempt to follow this fellow down through the bush. I think that he will probably pop out eventually on the clearings. But cheetah, quite unlike their more fancied or more seen cousins, the leopards, they quite prefer to move through the bush like this. They don't like to be on the open, on the game paths in the same way. Now just excuse the noise that's going to happen now. Either from my swearing. Oh gosh, I can't see anything. David, where are we? Okay, sorry about that. My microphone is in my hat, everybody. Okay, we'll keep going. I've lost the cheetah. Shut up, Rebecca. Ooh, can you see them? Hello, Courtney. Oh, there he is. Courtney, you've asked a lovely question about how societies dedicated to the preservation of cheetah and such creatures are going to actually benefit them in the wild, and what they're trying to achieve. Are they trying to achieve genetic diversity, or what is it? Courtney, yes, to a certain extent there would be an attempt to preserve some form of genetic diversity. I don't think that that's really very possible here, because of course we know that cheetahs have inescapably narrow genetics, because of course they all come from the same... Ooh, we may get into a very horrible fix here. Because they all come from the same female, eventually, from one bottleneck. Oh, here's a nice game path. Just as I was saying, you see, cheetah hate to be on game paths, David. And the big thing for them, as with just about every single other species there is on Earth, is to maintain their habitat. We have to maintain habitat that they can live in. Now that includes protected areas, it includes non-protected areas. There's a huge amount of work being done in Namibia, for example, where there are not a lot of people. And because of the sparse population of human beings, what you find is that there are vast swathes of land that have cheetahs in them, but they aren't protected. And so hunters and farmers who don't necessarily understand the benefits of having a cheetah around the place, or their plight as a species, will sometimes shoot them. And I mean, I know that's astounding to hear. There's a giraffe up ahead. So it very much focuses on maintaining a place for them through not losing any more habitat and educating people about them. You know, the thing with animals like this is that they have verged on extinction more than once. Rhino, the same kind of a thing. And eventually they will go extinct. Or eventually the climate will change to the extent that their habitat changes and they actually start to outcompete predators like leopards and lions. Difficult to understand what kind of conditions that would take place in. But eventually all species will go extinct because of, or be replaced by other better adapted species, because of course the niches that they occupy will change. And so I think for all species out here, we just have to maintain their habitat. And in a place like the Sabi Sands, for me, what's very important is that we tinker as little as possible. So we don't provide too much in the way of artificial water and that sort of thing, because that will change the delicate balance of what has allowed this cheetah to survive in this area for this long. There are 2 giraffe off there. He still keeps looking behind him. That giraffe is now watching the cheetah. God, what a wonderful sighting. Gee whiz, we've been lucky today. Let's carry on. Sorry, David, I missed your half key there, didn't I? It's because I've been in the tent so long. I'll explain what I mean now, everyone. See, now when David is zoomed in on an animal like this, here, I'll quickly demonstrate it for you if you like. There's the cheetah walking through there. Now, if David is super zoomed in on where the cheetah's gone, he's in there. Just if you super zoom in there, he's in there. See, now if I just start the engine and start driving, you will get seasick. And so what I'm supposed to do is just turn the key like that, then he zooms out, and then we move forward. Okay, while we follow this cheetah through this bit difficult area, let's head across to Karula and Brent Leo Smith.
Oh, welcome back, and yes, we are now with the Queen, and she's doing the same thing the lions were, having an afternoon snooze in the shade, fighting off the biting flies. So she's probably about 400 meters from where we found Hosana&Xongile, taking a bit of me time. Hosana is getting quite rambunctious with her, and she occasionally does have to discipline him. Dowd is wondering, are the leopards afraid of lions, and how far away are they from each other? They most certainly are afraid of lions, and probably about just over a kilometer from where this leopard is to the lions, and probably about 700 meters from where the other leopards are, her cubs, to where the lions are. Oof, those flies obviously irritating her. I can see if we look carefully. Oh, look at all of them. Evil little stable flies. You can actually see a bit of blood that's been drawn. Oh, Brian, was that a raindrop that hit me? And again, and another one. Where? We have blue sky above us. Oh dear, Dineo is on the way. Brian and I were actually just discussing Dineo in depth. And then I think this is just going to be a little sprinkle. I don't think we need the rain covers. But so there we go. There is Dineo. That little green circle is poor little old us. And she's moving westwards at about 11 kilometers an hour, and gusting winds of up to 120 kilometers an hour, and other winds, normal winds of 100 kilometers an hour. So you can actually, if we zoom in here, you can see there's obviously the eye, but you can see this weather that we're getting, and these clouds and this wind. It's right, we're right on the edge of that wing, that circular wind of Dineo, what Dineo is catching. So I think this is what we're going to get next, and there's quite a bit of rain in that, but it's still a little bit off. We just got this very light dusting, so that big cloud James is looking at, I'm pretty sure, is that, whoopsie, is that one there. And it says inside that one, there's about 5 mils of rain, so not too much. And the wind is doing 16 kilometers an hour, but if you pop your finger onto the edge of Danao's eye, there we go, 88 Ks, 108 Ks. Scary. Oh, sounds like those lines are up. So, should we go back to them quickly? Karula's flat. And anyway, the person who's the most in danger of getting drenched today is most certainly James Henry. Okay. Woo! Now, 23 to 30 kilometers an hour is strong wind for this part of the world, for normal. I mean, I'd probably say some of the strongest wind we've had this year is 30, 35. 100 kilometers an hour is going to be serious. There's going to be a lot of broken branches, a lot of fallen down trees, and who knows, we might even see the Mawati flowing. Have you ever seen the Mawati flow, Brian?
I haven't.
No, me neither.
I'm excited to see it flow.
I'm not so excited to see it flow. I've dealt with the storms of this magnitude before in other places in Africa, and it's all very exciting, the lead up to them. But about an hour in, the fun and excitement are over. There's no electricity, there's no cell phone signal, there's no internet, you're cooking over a Bunsen burner, eating a tin of beans, you've got to worry about all your meat and stuff in deep freezers, your vegetables, and I mean it's actually, it's quite a serious thing, and that's why we've been preparing quite heavily. And we all thought, it's going to miss us, we'll be fine. Steph's deluge, Steph being paranoid. Don't ever tell Steph, but I think he might have been right. Just he was about 4 months off. Now, of course, it's going to change the dynamic of the game viewing quite a lot, because with a lot of water, all the water holes full, lots of grass everywhere. Now, it all depends. So we've got very little grass cover even from the rains we've had this year. So we might lose a lot of the topsoil, so we might not actually have that much grass for the winter. But only time's going to be able to tell. The buffalo will be upset, the lions will be happy. So there we go. It's going to be a very interesting couple of days, and of course I know we have forewarned that if we are getting beaten down here by Dineo, we will probably not be able to produce a live safari, even from the tent. We've got to take all that stuff out of the lioness. She's having a drink. And Amber Eyes on the move. You can see how hungry they are. Now, if they get onto Twin Dams and they head straight north on Twin Dams, they might run straight into Karula. Just trying to see where Amber's going. And there is massive clouds coming. So that big cloud that spat on us a little bit is actually dissipated. And the next big one is quite far off. What time do you reckon we're going to hit heavy rain tonight? I say 11.
Yeah, I say around 12.
No.
Midnight, 1 o'clock.
Ooh, look at that wound on her side of her head. That's a bite. Ooh, she's so close to us. Hello, big girl. Oh, can you believe when I started here, we thought they might get moving a little earlier, and luckily for them we haven't seen any lone buffalo bulls today along this area. What have you seen or heard behind you? Yes, there we go. You can see that wound a little bit there. That definitely looks like a bite mark to me. That's a tooth that's gone in there. It's tough being the apex predator out here. Oh, you know what she's looking at, I think. Someone was looking at her tracks crossing the road. I think someone on the boundary saw the lion tracks and got out to have a look at them, and she spotted them. Those two on Satyangala are now mobile north on Twin Dams Road. Okay, well, we're going to keep following a portion of the incredible Nkuhumas, but let's go see what Jamie's up to on foot.
What a lovely surprise the incredible Nkuhumas were, turning up when we least expected them. I'm hoping that the particular creature that I really wanted to show you will do the same thing. Since all of the rain has blown past us, it rained on us for about 2 seconds and then promptly went on its way. And now I can only see blue skies and more rolling waves of cloud. So I guess that's just how it's going to be over the next few days, just rolling thunderstorms. Now, Taylor told me about this little secret, and well, Taylor and VM and Herbie actually, that they discovered yesterday afternoon on their bushwalk, and it is a baboon spider hole, obviously, but with the added advantage of tiny little baby baboon spiders in it. And I don't think that any of you will have seen, I don't know whether or not you got to see it with Taylor, or did the batteries die beforehand? Yeah. Unfortunately, the batteries of the backpack died before she was able to show you. So, I'm going to try and show you myself. Unfortunately, now they are playing very, very shy, which is a pity, because baboon spiders are my absolute favorite spiders. I love them. And to see all of the little ones was a true treat indeed before they all dashed into their burrow. Well, not their burrow. I don't think the burrow is the right word. Hole. I'm just trying to see whether I can see any of them, but it doesn't look like it. No. They've really disappeared far in. There was a whole load of them. I suspect they're baby baboon spiders, but I'm not 100% sure, because I didn't actually fully see them. I haven't had a chance to really fully examine their shape, so it might not be baby baboon spiders. It is a baboon spider type hole. It's definitely that style, surrounded by silk. down, straight down. Oh, I feel like I'm going to go sliding down the damn wall. I'm definitely slowly shifting, or the soil is slowly shifting underneath my feet. But it's definitely the right style, but unfortunately it doesn't seem as though they want to come up and say hello to us, which is a pity. I want to do some research though, and into whether or not there are any types of spiders that will acquisition a baboon spider's hole. Now, Marlene, you want to know if they are poisonous. Did I hear that correctly?
There's one.
Pardon?
There's one.
You got one. I can't see it. I can't see it. No. Shall I shift the torch slightly?
Yeah, fine.
Got it. Can you still see it? I can't see it, but I'm going to take your word for it. Wait, let me do this. And not move the light too much. There it is. There's the little arachnid we've been looking for. Doesn't quite look hairy enough to be a baby baboon spider, but perhaps. I don't actually know much about baby baboon spiders, full stop. It is definitely... There's definitely a whole load of them. The question about whether or not they are poisonous, the answer is no, they're not poisonous, although it's important to remember the distinction between poison and venom, of course. So, Marlene, if you're thinking whether or not they would... There's a big one.
Yeah.
A big one like a big baboon spider or a big baby?
No, big baby.
Okay. Just see them starting to come out. I still can't quite properly... Oh, there comes the baboon spider. How cool is that? She's coming out. Hello, Mom. Are you coming to make sure we're not attacking your babies? Who knew baboon spiders were so motherly? This is amazing. You don't often get baboon spiders coming out of their own volition. This is really, really cool. She just came out straight away. Hi, girl. You are gorgeous. What happens if I take the light off you a little bit? Will you come further out? How stunning is she? Meet the mother of the little ones. Sorry, Marlene, they're not poisonous. They're not venomous either. So poison is when you eat something and it is toxic to you. Venom is when something bites or stings you and injects venom. Aww. It's alright, girl. Sorry. That was my fault. I just shifted ever so slightly and she disappeared. Well, in that case, they must be baby baboon spiders, because there's no way, surely, she would tolerate the company of any other types of spiders. Wow. That was very, very cool. I think that's the first time ever in my entire guiding career that a adult baboon spider's come out of its own volition. Now, Jess B, good question. You want to know whether or not we'd use the endoscope camera to go into the hole. Jess, potentially, but not until we've had a chance to reinforce it ever so slightly, so that we don't have to kind of just poke it in and let it drop and tumble into the hole, because that will damage the delicate silk lining. It's not like dropping a blade of grass down there, which does happen, or bits of sand or anything like that. Now, I wouldn't want to damage the lining of her silk burrow, and certain species of baboon spider are, that one's not, but certain species are critically endangered, and to interfere with them is a very unfortunate thing, because once a baboon spider has established itself and dug itself a hole, it won't ever dig another type of hole. It won't ever dig another hole, I mean. So the females will live in those holes their entire lives, and if those holes are destroyed, they won't ever move back into them. And I'm afraid to say the rain has started up again. I'm not entirely sure where it's coming from, but it is raining upon us. So we might need to rewrap the camera in its protective waterproof casing. But that was really, really very cool. Look at the color of that sky. Quite eerie. Okay. All right, we're going to quickly put our rain covers on. Let's go and have a look at Brent's lines, who are up and moving.
I wonder where Jamie is, because we're bone dry. We're still with the lions. They've now started heading west. Oh, look at that. Now it gives you an idea how big those animals are. That's taller than me, that she could reach up there. So they're nice and hungry, and that's why we had always planned to come back to the lions, because I'm pretty confident that they were going to get moving and they're going to hunt. There is some magnificent skies out at the moment. And just look at that. Ooh, oh, magic. So temperature just dropped enough for these lions to get on the move. And as I said, they're really hungry. And you can see how big cats do like roads. And they've literally taken the corner ahead of us. I think they might be moving north once they get to Weaver's Nest, maybe head towards Quarantine. Now this windy weather with these clouds rolling in is going to be excellent hunting weather for them, so hopefully they don't stay. Oh, itchy. And we stop when a lion's got an itch. It's feeling quite weird. I mean, when was the last time we followed a lion? Oh, she's seen something. She's seen something. The Amber Eyes has seen something. She's running. She's chasing something. She's going for the kill. She's just missed an Inyala. She's still going. The youngest lioness was sleeping. She got really close to that Inyala. Oh, there's Inyala. There's one running away. Oh, so close. That Impala just hit another gear. Wow. There was obviously Impala and Inyala there, and pandemonium. But it looks like they both missed. But as I said, they're hungry. That's why we had to get to these lions. As soon as I heard they were on the move. That was not far off. Now I can't see Amber just yet. The last I saw her, she disappeared about where we are now. Oh, there she is. So they're going to join up again. Ooh, that was close, and these girls are famished. There's Amber. And this wind is going to work in their favor, creating confusion. Now, hi Natalie, who's 11 years old. Natalie is wondering why lionesses don't have manes. Well, they don't fight as much for territory. So the male lions will fight a lot with other male lions, and those manes help protect their throat and back of their head. Now, there's another reason, and it's also for fighting. If a male's got a really impressive mane, he could be able to dissuade another male from attacking him just by looking impressive. So that's why male lions have manes and the lionesses don't. don't see animals that side. I don't know if I can get a car through here. Keep going towards quarantine. Good girls. Jezza says they seem very hungry and weak. Well, hungry, yes. Weak, no. But they're by no means starving. Jezza would also like to know whether they hunt at day or night. Well, they are preferably hunt at night, but this is the time of the day when they start getting moving and start hunting. And obviously it all depends on how hungry they are. And because they're very hungry, they've got moving a little bit earlier, but that's also because the wind and the cloud have come in and have cooled the area a bit. I think they thought they saw something on the other side of this little ravine from us, but I can't see anything there. Now, another cat that's favorite time of the day to hunt is at this dusk hour is the cheetah. So let's go see what's happening with James and his cheetah.
Live. Sorry, I'm just telling Davey that we're live there. He cannot hear the final control. There is a beautiful, beautiful sky. The cheetah is still underneath it. And I'm trying desperately to figure out one of the birds that we can hear while we watch the cheetah. It's going... and I don't know what it is. Any help would be greatly appreciated. I know I've heard it before, but I cannot remember what it is. There are lots of them around here. They've obviously just got in. Yeah, they're all over. Let me try this one here. I just don't know what it is. So while we wait for the cheetah to do something, I'll play a couple of calls and see if we can't find what it is. It's not that. I can't think. But it's obviously a bird that moves in fairly large numbers. And it comes into areas, well, unusually, sort of randomly. It's not that. Anyway, we'll keep it going. If anybody's got any ideas. The cheetah thinking or is watching a herd of wildebeest and zebra and impala, but he's full. He's eaten a little baby impala earlier today, and so he's not in the slightest bit hungry, and that's why he's panting. It's not hot anymore. The temperature's probably dropped to around 75 degrees or so. Which is in 1 second, everybody. Yeah, about 25. It is 25 degrees Celsius. Very nice wind blowing in from the southeast. And I suspect these birds have come in on the storm. Anna Marie, a good question from you. That you want to know if they metabolize their food faster than lions or leopards, and do they hunt more? Anna Marie, I don't think they metabolize the meat faster necessarily. They do eat faster though. They will bolt their food as fast as possible, because most of the time, probably 75% of the time, they will lose their kills. They will lose their kills even to vultures. And so that means that they grab at the hindquarters first. And it's interesting, I'm not entirely sure why they do that. People will tell you that the hindquarters can have some of the richest meat, but, you know, I don't think it's any richer than anywhere else on the body, and certainly it's It's not as fat rich or as nutrient rich as some of the organs, which a cheetah generally doesn't go for unless it can right at the end. So they'll go in from the backside, they eat out the rump, the hindquarters first, and then they often lose their kills before they can eat anything else. He's obviously got very tired and decided that he'll probably remain there for the rest of the day. I'll just remember it is, of course, International Hippopotamus Day, and we did spend a lot of time with hippos at the beginning of the drive. We were going to go back there sort of round about now to see if they didn't come out of the dam, but then we kind of got stuck with these rather spectacular cheetah. With this spectacular cheetah, only one. And we spent a great deal of time with him today. Tristan had about 2 hours with him this morning. And I can just hear the odd Swainson spurfowl making its call. And what we're going to do quickly, as we hand you over to Jamie, is quickly have a look at this big bank of clouds moving in here. I don't think we're going to be here for too much longer before we head back to Djuma. You can just see a little bit of pink touching those clouds. Isn't that gorgeous? Wonderful. Let us head back to Jamie Patterson and see what she has to say about the incoming deluge.
Well, I must say that as ominous as the clouds have been this afternoon, it has provided for some really truly stunning scenery. Sorry, there was some birds' alarm calling as I started speaking there. It's just been utterly exquisite with the banks of clouds building in. We can see, James has already showed you the second completely different looking bank of clouds that's now on its way in. And it's going to be, if nothing else, interesting to see the way that this all pans out. Personally, I don't think we're going to get that much water. We'll get some. I think we're going to get about, I don't know why I'm saying this like I have any degree of expertise, 50 or so mils. Somehow it just doesn't feel like we're going to get lots of rain. But I think the wind is going to be intense, and I think the storms are going to be intense, and I think a lot of it's going to fall at one go. However, it is not for me to guess. I am not a meteorologist. I am in fact just a person, and as just a person it is time for us to all go home as it starts to get dark. Not all of us, just the three of us that are on foot. Once it starts to get to this sort of light, it gets very, very difficult for human eyes to distinguish different shapes. It's actually that sort of grey light is very, very difficult. So we're going to head home. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to Viam for his wonderful camera work, and thank you to Herbie, who as always is our fantastic protector, and thank you to all of you. We'll catch you on the sunrise safari. Bye bye everybody.
Well, we're with the lions. Oh, sorry, I've pulled out my ears. Thanks, Brian. Brian let me know I was live there. Oh, you're catching up with me too fast, Amber. I need to put some speed on. So we haven't had the chance to do this. Brian and I love doing this. We get in front of the lions and we reverse while they walk towards us. Now we're heading up towards Treehouse Dam now. So we won't do it for too long. I'll just get to the dam. We drove around on the other road and we had a look. There was, unfortunately for the lions, fortunately if you're something else, there were no animals at the waterhole. We're going to take a shortcut now. Yes, you are. Oh, bouncy bounce, but we're in the right spot now. Lovely. This is definitely going to suit them, this weather that's moving in. You saw how close they got to catching An impala and an Inyana. Coming up behind the dam wall, using it as if the same way they would use a termite mound, possibly. Pop their heads over, make sure there's no potential prey on the other side. Unfortunately for them, I can tell them there is no potential prey on the other side. You were supposed to pass in front of the car. Oh, the wind is definitely getting a bit stronger. They're right behind us. Okay, let's go forward. Stopping for another drink. Oh, let's try to get onto the opposite side to them. What do you think, Brian? Hello, lions. Thirsty kitties. Okay, well, while we get into position, let's go quickly across to James on Cheetah Plains.
Right, we're going to leave this cheetah fairly soon, everybody. We're going to have one last look. David is convinced that the bank of clouds heading quite ominously from the southeast. I need a new word other than ominous. I shall find it in my thesaurus today. But there it is, coming in a, whatever word I'm going to use, fashion. It's coming in from the southeast there. And we're a bit worried that it might hit us. Thank you, Leslie. Your two-word tweet for my sighting, breathtakingly beautiful. It was indeed breathtakingly beautiful. It remains so. Well, not anymore, because now you're looking at me. Let's go back to the cheetah for the last time. And then we're going to head out of here before that bank of cloud arrives. And Debbie, you say it's brilliantly ominous. Brilliantly ominous, yes indeed. Brilliantly ominous. The cheetah is not, of course, in the slightest bit ominous at all. He's rather splendid. I think he might sort of, I don't know, I think he's going to have a rough time if it gets too wet here. And he might stay here all night and just slip underneath that quarry bush to try and hide. Right. Lisa, you say it's spectacular. Very nice, Lisa, thank you. I found a word. My word instead of ominous is going to be, I didn't think of this, it's on I've looked it up, portentous. A portentous sky. It is very portentous. Cheetah is up, David. He's still watching that herd of zebra and impala moving off into Mala Mala. Now, he might hunt now. I mean, look, I say he won't because you can see him panting because his belly's so full. Let's just give him a few minutes before we head out of here. We don't want to be caught in this weather. He looks a bit sad not to have found his brother, I feel. But probably quite happy to have had a meal to himself. Isn't that lovely? Oh, we figured out what the bird was with the help of Sean from Arathusa. The bird is the monotonous lark that we were hearing. The monotonous lark, and I read about it, and apparently it arrives in eruptions, sort of randomly. Nobody really knows why, and I reckon it's arrived here because they've had a lot of rain on Cheetah Plains. That grass is long, and there are going to be hundreds of insects around for it to eat, and so that's why I think a flock of them has arrived here on the plains de la Cheetah that we can see right in front of us. I'll just quickly give you a look at where those impala are. Sorry, David, I did it again. Alright, there are the impala. They're a long way away, utterly sort of oblivious to the existence of this cheetah. That's a pretty big, that's about the prey size limit for a cheetah like this, and I think you'll find that given the number of baby cheetah around the place, while he'll look at them sort of wistfully, I think he'll probably let them go. They are in a great position though for a cheetah. There are bits and pieces of cover that during the night like this he might be able to sort of sneak his way towards them before he chased. Alrighty, we're going to wait here with him for a few more minutes in case he does something. If he doesn't, well, then we'll press on soon. In the meantime, Leo Smith is still with the Leos. Ha 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 ha.
Well, indeed, the lions. Sometimes I'm referred to as Lion Smith. I'm not even joking, that's how bad it is. But we're going to stick with them. I'm not joking, at school. Lion Smith, come here. But yes, no. We're going to stick with them. As I said, I think they're our best chance at a possible hunt this evening. It feels like an age since I was on a lion hunt, isn't it? Exciting. They are taking us into a bit of a thicker area now. They might be looking for kudu and inyala. So we just... Yeah, we're good. Yeah. Cool. It's amazing how much the bush is thickened up. I mean, I remember driving through here not that long ago and we could go through without touching a branch. Oh, that was a thorn in my knee. Well, a small sacrifice to be on the hunt with two of the Nkahumas. They're going to take us through the thickest area and then go straight back to the road. Remember, hashtag Safari Live, questions at wildearth.tv if you want to ask us questions about lions hunting or anything else for that matter around here. Now, they're checking this termite mound. There could very easily be a warthog hole in here. And I have seen lions dig warthogs out before when they're very hungry. What has she found? As I said, there could be a warthog hole here. Just watch. Now, September says, you keep naming the individual lions. They look so similar. How do I tell them apart? Well, the one on the right or at the top has got amber eyes. She's got reddish colored eyes, and the other one is a little bit more now moving towards her, has golden eyes. That's how to tell these two apart. She's also the youngest female. The other three females of this pride are currently have cubs, and they're to the north of where we traverse. What has she got there? Let's go have a look. I'm trying to remember. I've walked through this, and I'm trying to remember if there is a warthog burrow here. But it looks like there is. They're off. Hold on. Oh, pig! Go, pig! They're off to that pig. Oh, it's so close. It just got away. Wow. I said there was something there. I can hear the pig grunting in the distance. Now, she might go back and check, because there's often more than one warthog in these burrows. is a lucky warthog. Now, just for some of you who might be a little bit sensitive, if these lions do manage to catch something while we're with them, especially if it's something small or something like a warthog, it can be very, very gruesome and very, very loud. So I'm just warning you, if you do get a bit sensitive, you might want to go get a cup of coffee or something of the like. Now they're coming back to check this hole again. Let's just get around a bit. Now, as I said, there's often multiple warthogs in a single hole. I see what saved that warthog's life now. Watch the thorns there, Brian. This fallen tree is what saved that warthog's life, because it came under, where's my arm? It came under here and the lions couldn't just couldn't get to it. That is a very lucky pig. I think if the pig had gone the other way, the lions would have been able to get to it. But he went from the hole there, and then he went under that fallen branch. And that was very lucky. Busy kitties. Now, Lael would like to know who is the best hunter in the pride. Now, Lael, you use the word coalition. Coalition is what we use to refer to males. So females are a pride. And Lael would like to know, is the best hunter Amber Eyes? I would say they're all excellent hunters, to be honest, Lael. I wouldn't say there's one that's particularly better than the other. What are you doing? Look at that. As I said, they do try dig sometimes. And I think she's found a smaller hole above, and she's trying to sniff. I said when they are hungry, they can dig warthogs out. I think, I mean, I've got such a brief view of that warthog, but I think it's a male, which means it could possibly be the only warthog in this hole. Let's just go back a little bit. Also, no, actually, let's not go back a little bit. Because then we'll be directly in the line of the burrow. If something does decide to come shooting out, we don't want to be there. Maybe we can go forward a bit. There's a fallen tree, but so if we go back, we'll be in the firing line. Oh, sorry, Brian, I can't see. Can I go? How's that there, Brian? A little bit more. So there seems to be another burrow a bit higher up that she's digging at. Oh, I wonder if she can hear something inside there. Now, one animal that will have quite a tough time during Steph's deluge is the warthogs, because those burrows do become quite easily flooded. I watched lions in the southern Sabi Sands do this for about 45 minutes, taking turns even digging, till they managed to pull a pig out of the ground. Now, the warthog might not be the only inhabitant of this termite mound. There could very easily be a porcupine in one of the other burrows. So warthogs, porcupines often share. So do hyenas and porcupines, strangely enough. Costa is wondering how is a lion's sense of smell. It's very good, Costa. They use their smell for all sorts of things, and they probably, I think the smell of warthog is so heavy in that whole area that I doubt it's the smell that they're relying on here. I think they probably can hear something still in the mound. I don't know if they're going to succeed in digging that high up in the mound. Or while they're digging, the warthog decides to make a gap out of the lower hole. Well, we know on average that lions are only successful 1.5 in 10 times. So we've seen 3 misses. So we are now that much more likely that the next one might be a success. I think they're going to find this ground getting a little bit too hard for them to get all the way down to the pigs in this particular termite mound. Jackie J is wondering if there were baby warthogs, would they have run out with their mum? Probably not. They might have stayed, I think. So I think that's possibly what the lions can hear. As I said, I think they might be expending energy unnecessarily on a termite mound this size. So normally when I've seen lions dig out warthogs, it's in very sandy soil, so soft sandy soils. Not so much in this. There's a bit of clay in these soils. This is fascinating behavior. Brian, have you ever seen them digging before?
Nope.
Nope. Well, there we go. Now, in sandy places like Botswana, they dig warthogs out quite regularly. And so I have seen it in the Sabi Sands before. Now imagine how frustrating that must be. You can hear a morsel, you can smell a morsel, and you just can't get to it. Incredible behavior. Now, Mac is asking, I said, hyenas and porcupines and pigs and porcupines often share a mound. Is it possible that warthogs and hyenas will ever share a mound? Yes, they will, Mac. I've seen it quite a few times. But generally, it'll be a very big male warthog who'll put up with sharing with hyenas. And normally, if that's the case, it'll be a very small clan of hyenas. And I've seen it at my parents' house. We actually had warthog and hyena sharing a den for quite a while. It was actually warthog, hyena, and porcupine all sharing that den. It was a particularly massive termite mound, though. It's going to be very interesting to see whether they continue to dig, or they lose interest. And it looks like the one lioness has already lost interest. They haven't made very much headway into the termite mound. I'm not sure whether they're going to give up or keep digging yet. Yeah, well, we're going to sit tight with these lions, see what happens. But while we do that... Oh, let's just wait 1 second. What are you doing? Have you managed to get... No. Okay, well, we're going to sit tight, see what happens next. While we do that, James has been reminiscing about Hippopotamus Day.
Now, it is Hippopotamus Day, everybody, and I must tell you that we've had some remarkable, beautiful drawings for our competition. Of course, none of them anything like as good as my hippo drawings, but some pretty good efforts. So let's go through them. That's Lily Beale. Thank you, Lily. That's actually gorgeous. That is Mandy Rush. Mandy, very nice. That's Karen Merritt. That's not her. That's a picture of a hippo that she drew. That's not what she looks like. That is Natasha Appleton, aged 28, from London. Well done, Natasha. Sharon Nobgrod. That's your hippopotamus. That hippopotamus, Sharon, has got a very large bubble butt. It looks a little bit like me when I'm walking in my shorts. They're all wonderful, and as all judges of competition art go, you have to say things like, well, it was a very difficult decision, which of course it was, because the standard of the entrance was so magnificent, and some will be slightly hurt and put out, but you've all done very, very well. Who am I going to pick? Goodness gracious, it's difficult to choose. But I think that we're going to pick that one. Mandy Rush, I really like your hippopotamus. I've never seen a hippopotamus that looks like that, but that one is just very charming indeed, and a fine ambassador for the species Hippopotamus amphibius, or the water horse. So thank you very much, Mandy Rush, for that. And we're going to show you a little video now about the hippopotami, and so we will see you tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining us on our drive, and we will see you tomorrow at 05:30. Bye-bye.